Exxon Mobil is the world's largest publicly traded oil and gas company with operations around the globe. After the company's analyst meeting yesterday, we asked CEO Darren Woods about rising global demand for energy and how politics and even the Green New Deal could potentially impact his approach to consumers.
Energy is such an important part to people's daily lives and their standards of living that as you think about these big ideas and translate them down to smaller practical steps you take, people become very cognizant of what the impacts are for individuals. And as that starts to happen, I think people's views change as to how far they can go and how quickly they can go. Our approach to that is to try to be part of the solution and engage with that. I mean, we've got a long history in this industry and a really good perspective on the global energy system. And we're a company that is grounded in science and technology. And if you look at kind of the risk of climate change and what society's focused on in terms of lower emission energy systems, we're going to need some technology breakthroughs. The conventional set of technology doesn't address all the gaps that are out there today. We think we can play a role in that. In fact, that's where we're investing some of our technology and R&D dollars to help fill some of those gaps.
What's the most interesting thing you've seen on the potential for R&D on that front?
Well, there's a lot of different ideas out there. I think when we look at it, it's got to be scalable. It's got to work at scale, and it has to be ultimately economic so that people can afford it, and it's got to be reliable. And so one of the things that we've been working on for many years is algae, biodiesel from algae. And the reason for that, today we don't have a good solution set for commercial transportation and emissions from commercial transportation. Algae and biodiesel could do that. Carbon capture and storage is another area that has potential, but today the economics are very challenging. So finding more economic methods of capturing carbon is another exciting area. We're looking at how you utilize the carbon that you capture. What do you do with it? You can store it underground. You can also turn it into other products. So we've got a lot of research in terms of how you might use carbon and turn that into another product that society would use. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening in this space, and we're participating pretty broadly in that technology space. We've got relationships with 80 universities around the world. We're working with the national labs. We're working with governments around the world. So we're trying to stay plugged in to make sure that we're contributing as we can.
Darren, what's the thing that's maybe most caught you by surprise over the last several months? Is there anything you've had to do to change the business from a macroeconomic scale, something that's impacted you guys? Is it the price of oil? Is it the global economy? Is it tax laws?
No, I would tell you, one of the things as we look at the world, we realize that this supply-demand balance is going to shift around, and it's very difficult to predict. In fact, we don't try to do that. What I told the analysts today is we don't base our plans on an assumed price, and we don't base our plans on an assumption that the market's going to help us. And so we kind of come back to these fundamentals and just say everything that we do has to be robust to a low price environment, and that tends to be how we think about it. So as the markets kind of move up and down, I would tell you we're never in a position to really predict when that's going to happen, but we know that it will, and we make sure that our business is prepared for that.
You may not be in the business of predicting oil prices, but there's got to be a level where you say, okay, oil prices have to stay at this level for us to be able to make all the plans as we've set up. I think Chevron said today that in order to continue spending at the pace they're doing and giving back to the shareholder in terms of dividends and buybacks that they plan, $51 is that price. Is there a price that you kind of have in mind that say, okay, as long as oil stays above this on a global scale, we're okay?
I think when you translate it to a number like that, it's a very tactical way of thinking about it in terms of making sure that in real time, year on year, you're paying for that activity. I think the way we tend to look at it is we know we're going to go through these cycles. Actually, the time to spend and invest is when you're in a down cycle, when you have less cash. And so, I would argue, and that's what we did when we had the last drop, is we went out hunting for opportunities. We found those opportunities. We've loaded them into our portfolio, and we're now progressing them.
We want to thank Exxon Chairman and CEO Darren Woods for speaking with us. Again, that was yesterday after his meeting with analysts.